Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. When people talk about FIRE, financial independence, retire early, they tend to picture someone who works really hard, saves really hard, and then completely steps away from the workforce, never to work again. But it's really important to note that all of these FIRE paths look a little bit different. Today, we're comparing three powerful paths to full financial independence: lean FIRE, fat FIRE, and slow FIRE, each designed for a different lifestyle, different income level, and different timeline. So whether you want to retire fast on a budget, or you want to retire and maintain the luxuries of life, or you want to take a slower pace and ease into retirement, there's probably a FIRE path for you. And just so you know, this video is part of an entire video that I did breaking down the 6 different FIRE lifestyles, and I will link it down below if you want to see the more comprehensive video where I go over all 6 types. But with that said, let's dive in. Let's start with the most minimalist path, and the one that really kicked off the entire FIRE movement: lean FIRE. Lean FIRE is all about retiring on a modest budget and doing it fast. This is really for people who are in their 20s or 30s and truly comfortable with frugality. It's about living on an income of, say, $25,000 to $40,000 a year, which very well could mean sharing expenses, living in a low cost of living area, or maybe moving abroad so your budget can stretch further. To support this type of lifestyle, you might need a portfolio of anywhere from, say, $600,000 all the way up to $1 million. And you could reach that in potentially, say, 10 to 20 years, depending on how low you keep your costs and how high you keep your savings rate. For example, let's say we have a 30-year-old software tester who makes $55,000 a year, but finds a way to save 50% of her income because she lives with roommates. She hits lean FIRE by, say, the age of 42, moves to Portugal, and then lives comfortably on perhaps $2,500 a month. Now, a lot of the times when we talk about withdrawal rates in retirement, we hear a lot about the 4% rule, but when it comes to those who are using the lean FIRE approach, we tend to see a more conservative withdrawal strategy, somewhere in the ballpark of, say, 3 to 3.5%. And this is simply because they want to protect against market downturns and unexpected expenses, and they're planning on a very long retirement horizon. Now, as far as which account types would be best if you're prepping for this type of retirement, well, I would absolutely say a traditional taxable brokerage account, simply because there's no limit on the amount that you can put into it, and there's no restrictions on when you can access this money or how you can take it out. I also think there's still a great benefit to using a Roth IRA, just because this account does come with a lot of flexibility and allows that tax-free growth. And you can always access the money you've put in at any time, completely tax-free, penalty-free. And if you happen to work for an employer who offers an HSA during your working years, again, this can be a great account to use simply because it allows you to set money aside tax-free, allows it to grow tax-free, and you can withdraw it tax-free so long as you use it for qualified medical expenses. And that is a great asset to have in your corner. And because with the lean FIRE approach, you're retiring so early, you're likely retiring long before you're eligible for Social Security. And you've likely only contributed modest amounts over the years. So when it comes time to claim your benefit, you're likely going to receive a greatly reduced benefit or something close to the minimum. So for this reason, a lot of people who follow the lean FIRE approach just look at Social Security as a bonus and don't truly rely on it as an income source. And if you do decide to live abroad, great news: for the vast majority of countries, you can still receive your Social Security benefits as long as you're eligible. There's only a very limited number of countries that fall into the exceptions category, and with this flexibility for those who are interested in the lean FIRE lifestyle, for those internationally inclined retirees, it's a very attractive approach. Fat FIRE is essentially the luxury version of financial independence. You want the freedom to walk away from your job, but you also want comfort and flexibility and perhaps a Tesla or two. This path is really ideal for high income earners who are, say, in their 30s all the way up to their 50s, who want to retire without cutting their lifestyle. Maybe they want to live in a high cost of living area. Maybe they still want to travel and eat out out as often as they want or keep as many premium subscriptions as they want without any guilt. To support this, you're generally looking at annual spending of, say, $150,000 a year or more in retirement, which means you would need a portfolio of, say, $2.5 to $4 or even $5 million to sustain this lifestyle over time. And it might take you anywhere from 15 to 25 years to reach this as a high-income earner, depending on how aggressively you save and invest. For example, let's say we have a dual income couple in New York and they make $400,000 a year. They each max out their 401ks and invest in taxable accounts. They retire at the age of 52 with $3.5 million invested and travel 6 months out of the year, keeping a condo in the city and perhaps a second home in Colorado. Now, when it comes to withdrawal strategies in retirement, those who are following the Fat Fire approach tend to be a little bit more conservative. Maybe they use something in the ballpark of 3% because, again, we're trying to sustain an elevated lifestyle for a longer period of time. And for that, you want to build in a conservative buffer. They may rely on dividend income, they may have real estate cash flows, maybe they even use partial annuities to create some guaranteed income streams and protect against sequence of returns risk. When preparing for this type of fire, some of the best accounts you can use are traditional 401ks. This gives you tax-free growth and maybe helps to reduce your tax burden during your working years if your retirement income is lesser than during your working years. A Roth account, again, is a great option because that gives you tax-free withdrawals later in life. Again, I do want to emphasize using a traditional brokerage because if you're retiring earlier than a traditional retirement age, you want to have funds that you can access at absolutely any time. And again, an HSA for medical expenses, a wonderful account, a triple tax advantage. The money gets to go in pre-tax, it gets to grow tax-free, and gets to come out completely tax-free. And if you have any real estate properties, this again adds more diversity to your portfolio and allows you to be more creative with your drawdown strategies so you're not always withdrawing from your portfolio. And the more creative you can be with your withdrawal strategies, the better buffer you can have against very large tax bills. With higher lifetime earnings, Fat Fire folks often qualify for near max Social Security benefits. But most do treat it as a bonus, not a core piece of their plan. When it does kick in, it can help reduce portfolio withdrawals or simply fund additional travel. Theoretically, the higher your income, the easier it should be to achieve Fat Fire, simply because you can save and invest more. But in reality, that's not always the case. Higher income earners tend to live in higher cost of living areas, which increases your expenses. And often, if you're a high income earner, your friends tend to be high income earners and they tend to spend more freely. So it can become so easy as your income increases to simply spend more because of where you live and who you surround yourself with. This is called lifestyle inflation, and this can quietly eat away at your savings rate. So if you are a high income earner, Fat Fire can absolutely be possible, but only if you stay intentional with how you live and how you save and how you invest. A slow fire is a lot like traditional retirement planning, but with more intention, more strategy, and often more freedom. Instead of retiring super early, your goal is to hit financial independence by late 50s or early 60s and enjoy life along the way, not just in retirement. This is a great path for people who are, say, in their 30s to their 50s and earning anywhere from, say, $60,000 a year all the way up to $150,000 a year, targeting saving maybe 20 to 35% of their income and trying to hit a net worth of, say, 1.5 to 2.5 million. In this case, we might have a couple in their 40s who's saving 25% of their income. They still take vacations, they live in a home they love, they enjoy their life now, but they're on track to retire by 58 with $2 million and no mortgage. The withdrawal strategy for this group who's pursuing slow fire would look a lot like that traditional 4% withdrawal or 5% withdrawal, or maybe a guardrail approach where you adjust your withdrawals up or down based on your portfolio performance. The whole point is to have more flexibility without sacrificing your stability. For this type of retirement, you can use a whole host of account types. You can use traditional 401ks and IRAs, or Roth 401ks and IRAs, or a mixture of the two. If you have an HSA available, again, and these are wonderful options because of the triple tax advantage treatment. I do still think a brokerage account can play a part in this portfolio because, again, if you do step away from the workforce in your early 50s or your mid 50s, you do want to be able to draw from your account without any restrictions. Now, the rule of 55 could play into your account if your employer does abide by that rule with their employer-sponsored plan. Depends on your plan type. I have a whole video on the rule of 55. If that's something you're interested in checking out, I will link it down below. But make sure that you know if you pursue this type of retirement, you have a whole slew of accounts that you can utilize. And as far as Social Security is considered, for this group of individuals, because they're working well into their 50s or perhaps even into their 60s, they're building a really strong earnings history. So Social Security is going to play a big role in retirement income streams. And you do want to get strategic about when you decide to claim. Do you want to claim early at 62? Do you want to do at full retirement age of 67 or delay all the way up to 70? And make sure you coordinate with your spouse if you happen to be married. Now, at first glance, slow fire and traditional retirement might look the same, especially if both wrap up around the age of 60. But here's the difference. Slow fire is intentional. You're not just saving what's left over after you spend, you're planning ahead with purpose. You're aiming for financial independence before the default timeline. You're often doing it with more freedom, more flexibility, and more options to walk away earlier if you want to. Slow fire is about building wealth on your terms, not waiting for the system to tell you it's time. So there you have it. 3 completely different paths to full financial freedom and 3 different paths to allow you to retire on your own terms. Lean fire is about speed and simplicity, the fastest track for the most frugal. Fat fire is financial freedom without compromise, designed for abundance and comfort. Slow fire is the balanced route, wealth, freedom, and the flexibility to enjoy life along the way. Each one leads to the same destination, financial independence, but it depends on how fast you want to get there and what kind of lifestyle you want to live once you do. Which fire lifestyle resonates most with you? Leave your thoughts in a comment down below, and don't forget to check out the entire comprehensive video. I will link that above and down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. I'm gonna wait for the airplane to pass because I think it's a helicopter, not an airplane. That is noticeably louder. And if you do want to retire, who's texting me? No. Sorry. Muting. I'll reply later. Okay. The ideal. Oh my gosh, stop texting me. Jeez, oh please.